The makeup of that jury is going to be very critical, and nobody knows, of course, how that whole process goes other than a jury consultant.
Right, they help
and
to pick
Jason
these juries.
Berry, is standing by right now with Deborah Johnson, who we've talked to in the past. And Jason, she really has a front row seat into how we go about putting a jury together.
Yeah, I think one of the things that everybody's thinking right now is, what was the jury thinking? And Deborah Johnson is a trial consultant. What was the jury thinking here? There's a big difference, I guess, between the guilt and innocent phase as opposed to deciding whether someone should be put to death, right?
There's a big difference, yeah. And so the jury clearly came in with what they thought was a pretty quick verdict, which said yes, she was guilty. Then when they went to the next step, they said yes, she's eligible for the death penalty. But then signing that warrant is a completely different thing. So it's possible that if they had any connection to her at all, that's where it played in. That, you know, if they felt sorry for her or connected to her, or no, we're not going to put a woman to death, that's probably, in this very last phase, that's probably where it came in.
Does it come into play, you know, feeling sorry for her, or is it an individual juror's personal beliefs, maybe some religious beliefs, maybe, you know, thoughts that I can't necessarily put someone to death? What's in play here?
Well, I believe that when they do voir dire, that they ask that pretty clearly. Now, if a juror wasn't honest about it and said, yes, I could, in fact, give the death penalty, then, you know, then that was sort of an error at their part. But the lawyers couldn't know that. They screened for that. So everybody on that jury would have said, yes, I could, in fact, do this.
Now, it was about 11 years ago, back in 2002, that the U.S. Supreme Court made a decision that really allowed juries to make the decision in the death penalty phase compared to judges. How has that really changed? I mean, do you feel like that just puts an extra burden on these jurors?
Well, I think it puts a lot of pressure on them, yeah. I think it makes them make a decision that no human being would actually ever volunteer to do, really, to say, yes, I'm going to choose life or death. It's one thing to be in the military, it's another thing to be a person who walks in off the street, ends up on jury duty, and then you have to make that decision, because it's a very onerous kind of a decision to have to make.
Mm-hmm. And so now we're looking at basically bringing in a new jury in off the street. They haven't been following the intimate details of the case. What is the expectation from them to actually ask them to step in and decide her fate?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is going to be how much news coverage there's been. So it's one thing before the trial to have put together a jury. Now you're going to seat another jury who has seen all of this, who has heard all of this. I think it's going to be really tough to find a neutral jury to sit in on this phase.
Is there a possibility again that it could be moved out, moved to California, moved to another county? Hard to find someone or a group of people who haven't heard about this case?
Boy, I think even in Montana you're going to have a hard time, because there's been so much national coverage of it. So I don't know the legal ramifications of moving it, whether it would, whether that would really aid them or not. So,
as far as whether or not a new jury can make a decision, if they can or they can't, I guess then eventually it turns over to a judge.
I don't know the legal part of that. Yeah, I don't know that part.
Again, more challenges, and it just continues to drag on.
Yeah. So it's been tough on everybody.
All right. Again, Deborah Johnson, trial consultant, thank you for talking to us. A lot of details coming out about the challenges that these jurors face. Now the idea of bringing in a new jury to step in. Again, with what's been going on in this trial, who knows what will happen next. Catherine?
Absolutely.